what many people feared in relation to the Nord Stream 1 pipeline and Russia providing oil to continental Europe and the United Kingdom seems to be coming to fruition, as Russia has now cut off gas from Europe and is now claiming that the maintenance issues that were first reported over the weekend of Labor Day weekend have now continued, and now Russia has released a video depicting a cold and icy winter for the rest of continental Europe as energy prices continue to soar. My name is Brian Barsoon. I upload YouTube content daily. Subscribe if you like the content and hit the notification bell to be notified when my videos go live. So I'll be breaking down a few articles pertaining to this story, including Russia cutting off gas to Europe, as I mentioned, as well as the euro's dollar amount declining, or their value of their currency declining, as well as some other factors. But I just want to start with this article here. Now taking a look, winter will be long. Russian oil giant Gazprom taunts the West with sinister video showing Europe freezing over after Moscow switches off gas supplies. So Gazprom is the energy giant in Russia, their state-run energy supplier, and as I mentioned earlier, they had paused production. They said it was going to be for 3 days in relation to some maintenance issues. They said it would be back up by the beginning of this week, but now is saying that it'll be off indefinitely until these issues have been fixed, and now we're turning to the company Siemens to see if they can reach out and fix the issue, which I'll go into in just a moment. Now, they released that eerie video taunting Europe about a freezing winter, and footage showed an icy cloud after a Gazprom worker turned off supplies, and this being perceived as blackmail for the Russia-Ukraine war, and the fact that the Western nations, including the U.S. and Europe, have now sanctioned Russian coal and will be sanctioning the rest of gas sales by the end of this year. So just taking a look here, it was a 2-minute clip. And obviously, it's talking about how prices have spiked because of the conflict over there. And it's not just affecting Europe, it's affecting the United States as well and around the world. I'm not going to play the whole video because I don't want to, contribute to the propaganda. But if you want to take a look, it's on the article here from the Daily Mail. I did take a look at it. It's just a standard video of showing, things being turned off, and then does show the one of the tallest buildings in the world that's in Russia at the end. But just an article does talk about the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which was suspended because of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. There are still smaller pipelines that are still in service that go through Bulgaria and other countries in Europe, but Nord Stream 1, which runs from St. Petersburg, Russia to Germany, is the predominant pipeline for gas throughout Europe, and in Germany was being affected by this, and they were able to achieve low prices for energy before the conflict. And since ending this, when starting these sanctions, their prices have spiked significantly, and there's a lot of fears they may not have enough energy for the winter. So it's in an article. The video was released as Europe is struggling to contain an energy crisis that could lead to rolling blackouts, shuttered factories, and a deep recession. They're already saying that they're barreling towards a recession now. Inflation was around 9 or 10% in July. It looks like it has no signs of stopping. Some reports have indicated it could go up to as high as like 16 or 18%, which is scary. I mean, in the U.S. here, we had it around 9%, and it has gone down slightly to about 8.5%. But gas prices are falling here. We do have our own production here in the States, even though President Biden has suspended a high number of leases for land compared to President Trump and President Obama. I think the numbers where it's only about 100,000 acres of land have been leased for oil and gas production, which is the lowest that's ever been recorded in the United States history at this current time. So just taking a look further with the article here, Gazprom said Nord Stream 1, the main pipeline carrying gas to Germany, would stay closed, blaming an oil leak and claiming the problems could not be fixed because of sanctions barring many dealings with Russia. So I just want to take a look, so you can take a look down here. And these are some comments. European officials say it is energy blackmail aimed at pressuring and dividing the EU as it supports Ukraine against Russia's invasion. Gazprom's Deputy Chief Executive Officer, Vitaly Markelov, I hope I'm saying that right, told Reuters on Tuesday that Nord Stream 1 would not resume shipments until Siemens Energy repaired faulty equipment. And the best part is Siemens commented back saying it did not understand Gazprom's representation of the situation. So even the company itself in question doesn't understand what Russia is getting at here in Gazprom. That's why people are claiming it's more of a political move to heighten tensions with the conflict and with the energy crisis. And then Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova blamed the U.S. for the energy crisis, so U.S. is being implemented as well because they're supporting the conflict and supporting Ukraine. She had said it pushed European leaders towards what she called the suicidal step of cutting economic and energy cooperation with Moscow. And there's a picture of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which was suspended by Germany as a sanction against Russia's invasion, which also is shown in the video. So let's take a look here. So the halt in gas shipments have fallen 89% from a year ago, and it was about 40% of Europe's natural gas, so a significant portion, and that's why prices are skyrocketing. But just want to take a look at another story here. This is from The Blaze, kind of mentioning the same things. EU energy prices soar as Russia vows not to resume gas supplies until sanctions lifted. So they want these sanctions lifted that were a result of the conflict, and once those are lifted, then they'll continue production. Even leading up until this, there was maintenance done in July for 10 days that was planned. The one more recently from last week at the end of August, beginning of September, was unplanned. And a lot of people feared it was for political reasons, and it seems that those have come true. So just kind of highlighting the same thing as well. It says European gas price increases by as much as 30% following Russia's announcement. That was the most recent announcement. So prices have already spiked in the coming days after this announcement and may continue to go up even more. Some countries in Europe are looking at other measures, liquefied natural gas, reopening coal and power plants that had previously been shut down as the push for renewable energy was made in these countries in the last couple of years. They're going to revert some of these policies back to make sure that they have enough energy for the winter. Excuse me. So just wanted to take a look also this article from the Associated Press. So this is piggybacking off of that. So now Russia hasn't really lost any profit margins because they're now providing energy which they had been providing to Europe is now going towards Asia. So taking a look here from the AP, Russia sent significantly more oil and coal to India and China over the summer compared with the start of the year. So Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air said Russia received about 158 billion euros in revenue for the sale of oil, natural gas, and coal from February to August, more than half of which, 85 billion worth, was exported to the European Union. So they are still getting it, but obviously at a higher price, and now they're just cutting it off completely. But the single biggest importer worldwide, however, was China, which bought 35 billion euros worth of Russian energy. So they're ramping up their relationship. China's buying more of this from Russia, and that's why Russia's economy hasn't struggled as much as the sanctions were originally intended to. In the beginning it did, but now Russia has rebounded, and now they're doing business with China and other Asian countries. So it does say, while Russia's revenue rose, overall export volumes dropped by 18% compared with when the country invaded Ukraine. So they're not even exporting as much, but they're still having good profit margins, which is not good for the West. So the EU has cut its imports from Russia by 35% since the war began, with Russian coal now banned in the 27-nation bloc, and a halt to oil sales due to take effect at the end of the year. That's why I mentioned earlier. So I just wanted to highlight that as well. Now, as a result of all this, and because of the inflation going on in Europe, just wanted to highlight this from CBS News. Euro drops to a 20-year low, falling below $1. So for the first time in over 2 decades, the euro is now valued at less than the dollar. For most of my life, the euro has always been the strongest one. I remember it does cite in this article back in 2008, it was 1.5 times greater than the dollar, so like $1.60 compared to a dollar for the euro to dollar. So just take a look at the article briefly. The euro hit a 20-year low after Russia said it would shut off its main gas pipeline to Europe over what is described as maintenance issues. And now it's dropped 7% to 98.8 cents compared to the dollar, reaching its lowest level since 2002. It launched at 119. As I mentioned before, it peaked at $1.60 in 2008. Its record low came in October 20. That was 83 cents because of the shutdowns and everything with COVID, so that's understandable, but it had rebounded since then to be over $1. Now it's crashing back down. So let's see here. And it does, highlight the story I mentioned previously with Nord Stream 1 being shut off indefinitely. So there's no timetable for these repairs, so we will keep seeing what goes with that. Now, if you would think, oh, okay, well, Russia is not the only oil exporter in the game. There's other countries such as the Middle East. It could turn to the United States, things like that. Obviously, in the U.S., we're just trying to provide energy to our own country. We have 330 million people, so I'm sure we're selling some of it to Europe, but we're trying to focus on our own country, and that's why our prices have gone down over the last several months. Still not down to pre-Biden levels, as I call it. Still, I think the average is around 350, 370 for the nation. In some places you can get under 350. But we were at around $2.20 when Biden took office. So it's coming down, but we're still not at those levels. So we're still experiencing high prices too, but not as high as Europe, of course. Just mentioning the inflation was that it was actually in the whole 19-country Eurozone was 8.9% in July, more than quadruple the rate just a year ago. So it's quadrupled, as in us in the United States as well. Usually inflation is around 1 or 2% on average, which is normal. That's just something that happens every year. But once you're getting north of 5%, 10%, that's when it becomes a huge problem. And now you would think that they could turn to another country, but now this report from the Hill has come out saying that OPEC, which is the OPEC and OPEC Plus, which is primarily the countries in the Middle East, including Saudi Arabia and other nations that provide oil to the rest of the world, is now going to cut oil output amid declining crude prices. So if you're not familiar, President Biden went over to Saudi Arabia and famously fist bumped Mohammed bin Salman, which some people, on the left especially, took umbrage to and were not happy with because of the, policies and way they treat the reporters over there and human rights and this, that, and the other. But when he went over there, they promised to increase production by 100,000 barrels for the month of September. So now this report is saying that oil producing alliance OPEC Plus announced on Monday it will slightly lower oil production in October, eliminating the 100,000 barrel per day increase that began this month. So it was 100,000 barrels per day for the entire month of September. So currently we're in that right now. It's the recording of this video. However, that will end. It will only be temporary for a month. So the market will shrink even more coming into October and to the winter months. So OPEC leaders made the decision after gathering for a meeting where they noted the 100,000 barrel per day increase was only intended for September, and they produce around 28 million barrels per day. So obviously 100,000 compared to 28 million per day is, kind of a small drop in the bucket. It's only maybe less than 1%. I don't know the exact math on it off the top of my head. But it was a significant portion. Any little bit counts nowadays with energy prices through the roof. So now just going here, the price for a crude barrel of West Texas Intermediate oil climbed 3% after the announcement, reaching $90 per barrel. And Brent crude went up 3% to 96 per barrel. So those are Western companies. Even they're feeling the increase. Those are probably just speculation increases, in my opinion. Whenever the speculation has a lot to do with the increased costs of oil. Obviously, you can make money off of the price of oil, and I feel like that's what the stock market is doing there. And it does note that what I mentioned earlier, he traveled to Saudi Arabia. He met with MBS, and 378 now is the gas prices. So it was kind of close to where I was saying before. And it does mention Russia again. So Russia it ties it all into Russia because if they're cutting it off, Europe's going to have to look elsewhere, whether it's Venezuela or OPEC, and that's going to demand's going to increase even more. Speculation will cause it to drive up even more. Thus, you probably will see oil prices reach or go over $100 a barrel again. Hopefully, it doesn't get to the levels it was a few months ago when it was like $110, $120 a barrel, and that's when we were seeing $4 or $5 a gallon for gas. So it's okay for the short term right now, but as winter comes and prices start to go up, everyone needs to heat their homes, especially in the north of the United States and northern hemisphere in the world. We could see the same thing we saw a couple months ago when it comes to the very high gas prices. I hope not, but just wanted to do a report on all this when it comes to that. Obviously, these can be fixed by lifting the sanctions, but that creates a whole set of other problems when it comes to the whole Russia-Ukraine conflict. I have my opinions on that. For up to me, we should be able to help them, but also worry about ourselves first. You can't help someone if you can't help yourself first. That's the way I look at it. But just wanted to cover all that. That's going to do it for this video. Like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Comment down below if you have any opinions on the whole Russia conflict and with them cutting off the Nord Stream 1 pipeline to Europe. And thanks for watching, and take care.